Hello, everyone. We've done it. We finally took this leap and we have started the channel. I want to know how everybody's doing today. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's do that thing. And if you're here, all I got to say is this.
You are all my children now.
And well, there was no way I could have this video without having a goat. Gotta have my boy Freddy in there. In here to haunt y'all nightmares daily since '84. So it's kind of a reference to what we actually going to be talking about. It came out around the time this was going on, so I mean it makes perfect sense. So the topic we're going to get in today, I've honestly never heard about it until I start researching it. Um, it started in the '80s, 84 to '85, I think to be exact, and it's still unsolved. Um, They don't know if it's one person. They don't know if it's two. They don't know if it's just a group. So that's what we're going to try to look into today. Give y'all thoughts in the comments, and we're going to go from there. This is a story of blackmail, kidnapping, and all kind of other crazy things that happened within this time frame of 1984 to '85. And one of the main companies that were getting blackmail is Ezaki Glico. I don't know if I butchered or murdered this name, but that's what we're going to go with. That's my reading comprehension. So, with that being said, this company, they made things called like Pocky. I don't know if that's what it's called. I've tried it a couple times. They're good. Would I eat them? Like, would I crave them? Probably not. But back then, hey, each their own. The company is really big in Asia. It's the native is Japan. You have China, you have Thailand, places like that. But you can see it. You see it in America clearly because I've had some, and I've been to none of those places, even though Japan is definitely on the list. But that wasn't the only company they went after. Morinaga was also another company I went after, and that company is one of the first companies that made it a point that women actually give chocolate to men on Valentine's Day. You say, hey, y'all see that? Huh? We want some chocolate too, okay? Y'all don't be hooking it up with us. Y'all just be one of y'all stuff, but that's neither here or there. Another thing I would give this company credit for, besides the fact them looking out for your boy and wanting some chocolate, is the fact that they make high chews. Now, if you ever had some high chews, y'all know for sure how fire high chews are. And if you haven't, y'all better go to the local store and get some of that tropical mix. Thank me later. So let's get into what you're here for. On Sunday, March 18th, 1984, Katsuga, which is the president of Glico and the grandson of the company founder, was relaxing at home with his wife and children. What you expect, it's a Sunday. You know, you gotta get that family time in. The boy was having a difficult day, a long day, and all he wanted to do was unwind because work was kicking his ass. And he had to deal with difficult ass people, like we all do when we go to work. So he just set himself aside and was like, I'm gonna take a bath. The rest of the fam is going to bed, so this is my time to be great. So in the house next door though lived his 70-year-old mom. So that lets you know fam must be important to the guy. So she's getting ready for bed too. But something hinders that. Around 9 o'clock p.m., two men wearing white ski masks and holding guns forced their way into her home. She's 70, guys. We have to remember this. So what can she do? Especially two men with guns. She's powerless. There's nothing she can do. So what do? They bind her. She can't fight them. She's 70. But to her surprise, they really weren't trying to rob her or harm her. Only thing they wanted from her possession is the key to her son's home. Let me say that again. The key to her son's home. So that lets you know who they was after. These two masked men did not want anything to do with her. They wanted the son. So once they got that key, they enter Katsuga's house. Dang, mom sold the boy out. But hey, she's 70, so what can you expect? So, first thing they do once they enter the house is they tie up the wife and the daughter. Quick, bam, boom, bah, got them. Ah, they got the pistol, they got a rifle. So, what are you gonna do? They were just like, okay, do what you got to do. While Miko, which is the wife, tried to negotiate with the two strangers, thinking that they were robbers, but they wouldn't even talk to her. They just was like, you stiff arm. We not even worried about you. We want your husband. So they're going throughout the house trying to find the husband. In the process of doing this, they are cutting phone lines. They are making sure no cops can be called. There are no cell phones back then. Well, there are probably cell phones, but I mean, who really had them back then? Unless he was a baller. He's president of the company. But yeah, they cut all the phone lines and they left the other two kids that were in the house undisturbed. They were asleep. And while they were going through the house, they found what they were looking for. They found that prize, and that prize was Katsuga. So once they got that key, they enter Katsuga's house. Dang, mom sold the boy out. But hey, she's 70, so what can you expect? So, first thing they do once they enter the house is they tie up the wife and the daughter. Quick, bam, boom, bah, got them. Ah, they got the pistol, they got a rifle. So what are you gonna do? They were just like, okay, do what you got to do. While Miko, which is the wife, tried to negotiate with the two strangers, thinking that they were robbers, but they wouldn't even talk to her. They just was like, you stiff arm. We not even worried about you. We want your husband. So they're going throughout the house trying to find the husband. In the process of doing this, they are cutting phone lines. They are making sure no cops can be called. There are no cell phones back then. Well, there are probably cell phones, but I mean, who really had them back then? Unless he was a baller. He's president of the company. But yeah, they cut all the phone lines and they left the other two kids that were in the house undisturbed. They were asleep. And while they were going through the house, they found what they were looking for. They found that prize, and that prize was Katsuga. Now, they didn't even let this man put clothes on. They kidnapped this man butt naked straight out of the bath. Like, the disrespect. Like, why are you running up on me? I'm up in here naked. I can't even enjoy I'm trying to unwind. That's the most disrespectful stuff ever. I'm trying to unwind and somebody bust in on me and won't even let me put clothes on. Y'all come and kidnap me while I'm butt ass naked? So, of course, he cooperated. There was nothing he can do. They told him, we have your family and we will harm them if you don't do exactly what we say. So, what do you do? Because he was ready to fight for him. Like any man would. At least he a real one. Y'all see this man's a real one. He was ready to fight for the family, butthole naked, ball swinging and all, to make sure his family was solid. But there was nothing you can do. So what they do, they rushed him into a nearby vehicle after telling him if he did anything, the family will be harmed. And that's what they did. They took him into the vehicle, which was left running. it was left running. So they thought about everything, and they sped off and disappeared. Do you know what they wanted? You know they wanted that shmoney. You know it's what they wanted. So the following day, a ransom demand was made by the mysterious kidnappers. Who wanted? They was on it. They had the blackmail and extortion against the company ready. They was ready for them. When Kasuga asked them, "Who are you guys? What do you guys want? What do you want from me?" They told him that they were basically people that are ready to take on the Japanese economy, the press, and the police force. To me, this sounds like some anonymous stuff that we hear nowadays. This sounds like a message that we would hear from Anonymous. So, hey, maybe this was a group, but let's go into that. The group would embrace their role as villains, and that's where the name The Monster with 21 Faces come from. And yeah, if y'all was wondering, yeah, this had about to be flipping like Ray J and 11 hip hop episode. Sometimes it's gonna be in the front, sometimes it's gonna be to the back. It is what it is. It is what it is. The next morning, the feds was on it. They was on it. They was bam there by the next morning. They wanted to know the who, the what, the where, and the why. Like who is doing it, why they doing it, what was the purpose? Y'all snatched my boy out the bath, butthole naked. Naked. Y'all did not care that y'all was seeing balls and everything else. Y'all didn't care. Eyes closed, just swinging. Y'all did not care. So, like I said, the feds was on it, and then they did a blackout, a media blackout, because they didn't want nothing getting out. They didn't want nothing getting out to the kidnappers. They didn't want them to know that they were already on it and already investigating, because they didn't know what these kidnappers might do. Just because they reckless. They don't care. They was ready to end it all. Now, the feds felt like they knew the family, because how did you even know that the mom had the key to her son's house? How did you know these things? So based on that information, the feds felt like, yeah, the kidnappers knew them, and probably knew them very well, which they probably did. It didn't take long though for the feds to figure out exactly why they took my boy. Come to find out, they left a ransom note. A freaking ransom note at the phone booth near the crime scene. They didn't even leave it at the house. They left it near a phone booth. So they know the area well. They've been scoping the area. If they didn't know the family, they was watching the family, so they knew everything. So they leave a ransom note at the phone booth near the crime scene that got discovered hours after he was taken. The note demanded a ransom of 1 billion yen, which is about 4.5 million dollars. If you look at it, around at least around that time, it was about that much. That's not the only thing that was after though. These are some expensive ass mother freaking whatever they was. These are some expensive ass people. They got some expensive ass taste. They also wanted 100 kilograms of gold, which was worth around at that time 1.3 million, which is harder to get in such a short time period, because I mean, that's a lot of money. So in total, they basically wanted around $6 million if you want to make it in US terms, which was the largest ransom at that time in Japanese history.
the cops was confused. They was confused. They didn't understand why they were after him, to be completely honest, because his company wasn't one of the giants. They were not one of the giants. They were more the middle of the pack, I guess you can say. They weren't somebody that was like the top of the top, which honestly probably made it easier for him, if we're being honest, because I'm sure if there was somebody that was at the top of the top, there would be a lot harder to obtain. There'll be a lot harder for them to get their hands on, because they probably have security up the ass or more. Like, it would be a lot harder to get to them. So that's probably why they went after my boy, because his company is the middle of the pack, and at the end of the day, he still had money. Whether he was at the middle of the pack or the end of the pack, the beginning of the pack, that boy had that bread. So that's probably why they went after him. They clearly weren't that good at what they do, though, because only 3 days later, three, three of them things, my boy, he escaped. He darted. He was gone. He ran for the hills, ran for his life, and there was nothing that they can do to stop him. He got out. 3 days after, he was being held captive in a warehouse near a river. So once he escaped, he got back to his family, and he let the feds know. He let the cops know that basically where I was being held, but that was basically all the information that he can give. They went to the warehouse, and there was literally no evidence to point them into the direction of the culprits. So they didn't know. They didn't who it was, why they did it, or what they were doing. He later explained to the police that they tied him up, gave him clothing, placed a bag over his head. So most of the time, that was his look. That's what he was dealing with in those 3 days. He was surviving off crackers and juice. So they would basically starving him. But he said basically, he was able to escape. He was able to take the ropes off his hands, and once he did, he busted down the door and ran for the hills barefoot. He didn't care. He was gone. And how they was trying to keep him there, they was basically like, "Hey, we got your daughter. She's being held captive," which we all know is a lie, because as I told you guys earlier, they didn't kidnap anybody else. Yeah, they tied her up and everything, but as far as that was about it. They didn't kidnap her. So once he made his escape, he found out the truth, that she was okay, that she was good, that she was at home. They were not done though. Yeah, this might have been a fail. They didn't get their ransom. They didn't get that 6 mil that they was looking for. But they was gonna make their presence known in the coming months. They were pissed. He escaped. So what they decided to do was take it out on the company. Remember, they wanted $6 million and got none. Zip, zilch, nada, zero. So they were salty. The salt was real on them. So what they decided to do was take it out on the company. So first thing they did was they set cars on fire in the parking lot of the company headquarters. After that, they went to, because companies have different locations. At another location in the city that he was actually held captive, they had put acid. Let me say that again. Acid, a plastic container full of it. They left it there at another headquarters. They're basically letting it be known, bro, we can get to you whenever we want to get to you. We have access to your company nonetheless, because they are leaving these things and aren't being tracked when they're leaving these things. Because first of all, somebody bring a full plastic container and leave it in front of my house, I'ma know. The neighbor's gonna see something, somebody gonna see something. We nosy around here. I know I got a couple neighbors that be looking through the windows. So I'm gonna be good. So I'm gonna know. But nobody knew what was going on. Nobody understood what was going on. So on the plastic container, they leave a note that says basically they want a one-time payment, and that's the only time they gonna stop harassing them. So like I told y'all earlier, they are salty, they are bitter, they want something. So they want that one-time payment, and at the same time they leave a letter basically taunting the cops. They leave a letter elsewhere that basically says to the stupid police, are you idiots? If you are pros, you would catch us. So they are taunting. They on some Zodiac stuff right now. On some BTK, they are sending notes to the cops, taunting them, letting them know if y'all were good at this, we would already been caught a long time ago. In that same letter, they are telling the police what color the car is. They say we took him in a gray car. They tell him we are buying stuff from a local supermarket. Y'all still can't catch us. And then they say, should we kidnap the head of the local police? They are testing y'all gangsta. They say y'all have none. They do not respect them. They saying we can do as we please, and there's really nothing you can do about it because we even giving y'all these hints, and y'all still can't find us. And that's where we get their name. On that note, they signed it. The Monster with 21 Faces. That's how we get the name, The Monster with 21 Faces, because they called themselves that. And that's a pretty ass, dope ass name. If you ask me, I'm gonna be 100% honest. If somebody sent me a note or something like that, I'm like, hey, that's a dope ass name. I'm trying to get like y'all when I grow up. And how they came up with that name, they stole it from a Japanese graphic novel. I don't know if the novel was inspiration for them, but that's where they got the name from. Their next step, they've been sending the letters, they've been leaving things at the headquarters. Their next step was to tell them at Glico that they poisoned their products. Now, you don't know if it's true or not if you really think about it, because they've been able to have access to you. They were able to kidnap you. They've been to your headquarters and numerous other places that you reside at, and they've left things to let you know that we are here and we ain't going nowhere. So they let them know, like, yeah, we poisoned your products. So that results in them having to take all their products off the shelves because they let them know, like, hey, we did it, and it's going to poison a lot of people on a mass scale that back then people weren't really used to. Now, can you imagine all the people that were probably eating them products during that time? You're gonna lose a lot of money, man. The company ended up losing $21 million because of this stunt. They had to take everything off the shelves. So their money making was basically down the tube at that point, because $21 million, that's a lot of money to be losing as a company. Now, with that $21 million worth of products that they had to take off the shelves, they also, the stocks took a dive, because who's going to be buying things that could possibly be poisoned? And they're not on the shelves either, even if you wanted to. I don't know, you might be into some crazy shit. So, with that being said, with the stocks taking a dive, they lost $130 million. Now, remember, guys, the Monster with 21 Faces wanted $6 million to begin with, just for my boy's safe return. $6 million. That has now turned into $130 million loss. So at that point, it's kind of like, was escaping worth it? Because you just ended up, at the end of the day, when y'all could have just paid 6, which is a lot of money, you have now lost $130 million as a company, as a whole. That's a lot of money to be down in the drain. They also had to let go of 1,000 employees because they couldn't pay them. A lot of that, like 130 is a lot of money. They couldn't pay them. Like, what can you do at that point? And then on top of that, they go ahead and set another fire. Another fire on another property. So then they decide to hit them up one more time, telling them, if you pay me $1.3 million, we will stop the harassment. For good, that is the end of it. We just want 1.3 mil. That's it. Mind you, you just cost the company $130 million, $21 million worth of products off the shelves, 1,000 employees. So they told them 1.3 is it. That's it. And if you do this, then we're good. Didn't stop them from still sending letters to the cops, taunting them continuously, calling them liars, calling them dumb, telling them they'll be dressed in suits and you can't catch them. Now, the cops thought they actually got close. They thought they were getting somewhere. So basically what happened was they caught footage of somebody in a store. He was dressed in a suit. He had glasses on. And he was in this store and he placed one of the products on the store shelf. Remember, guys, Glico ain't selling nothing right now. He had a Giants cap on too, also. But remember, they aren't selling nothing. No candy, no nothing. So, with that being said, they felt like they got their guy. That's what the footage said. So they started making their sketches. They start doing this and they start doing that. Sending it to media outlet. Nothing. They could not identify the man. Still to this day, we are in 2021. They have not figured out who this man is. So, as of now, they are calling him the videotaped man. And they cannot catch him. Eventually, the monster with the 21 faces, they got bored. They got tired of going after Glico. So by June 1984, they were over it. They sent the press basically a peace treaty and was just letting them know, we're bored. So we're leaving. We're going to leave Japan. We're going to head to Europe because we don't feel like dealing with the summer. The Japanese summer. It's horrible. So they're going to go to Europe and they're going to have fun. Now, even though they were done with Glico, doesn't mean they were done with everybody. And we'll get more into that on another video. This is running a lot longer than I thought it would. So if y'all want that part 2 and want to learn about the other companies that they're harassing, because remember, we mentioned Morinaga earlier, the company that makes high chews. So they went after them and they went after a couple other Japanese companies. So if you guys want another video deep diving into the monster with 21 faces going after them? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Casey the Ripper. See y'all next time.